What is going on, my soccer people? Welcome on back to Box Soccer, the soccer show where I cover everything U.S. soccer, men's, women's, internationally or domestically. And I gotta say, I am so excited for this episode as I have a huge treat for you on this interview in my interview series. But before I go into who I will be speaking with in this interview, I will say that, if this is your first time coming to my channel or if you're coming back, please do give this video a few minutes of your time. And if you do like it, give it a thumbs up or even subscribe, as it'll help my channel very much and push my content out to soccer lovers much like yourself. Now, in this interview series, I've been targeting and talking to people that have been involved in soccer in the social media sphere, mostly being on Twitter or on YouTube. But this interview is going out to someone who's working in a space that a lot of people probably aren't operating in, and it's in TikTok. Now, the individual that I'm bringing in for this interview is actually one of my first few hundred followers on my channel, and it is David Gerson. But you may know him better as Refs Need Love Too. Now, David's content is very unique as he is a referee and he talks about refereeing in the United States. He does a great job of covering the laws in the game. He does a great job of breaking down fouls and giving you great information on what fouls are called, and just, in general, reaching out to his audience and really engaging with them on what it is like to be a referee within the United States at the grassroots level. So without further ado, let's get this interview started. David Gerson, aka Refs Need Love Too. All right, David, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Absolutely wonderful. How about you?
Doing great. It's so good to finally have you on. I found you following me, probably one of the first couple hundred, I think around my first 1,000 people on TikTok. So, I'm really excited to finally actually get to talk to you now.
Yeah, pleasure's mutual.
Yeah. So, hey, I wanted to go into a lot of refereeing questions because that's obviously your niche whenever you're on TikTok.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So without further ado, I wanted to really understand, can you give us a quick background of who you are and, what made you want to pursue refereeing at the grassroots level?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a grassroots referee, and what that means, if your listeners don't understand, is that is pretty much everything underneath professional in the United States, or the path to professional. I've been reffing for 7 years now. I started when my son wanted to referee. He was 10, I was 40, and I was like, gosh, I'm not going to just bring him to the field and sit there and wait for him all day. I actually was a rugby referee. I played rugby, Division I rugby in college, got my referee certification, so I'm a glutton for punishment. I like being in the middle. I like being the one responsible to make the right call. And so we lived in Europe and for a couple of years in the Netherlands during World Cup 2014, and we just absolutely fell in love with the game of football, of soccer. And when we got back and I was coaching and my son was playing, he wanted to earn some money in ref, and so I went with him, and it's been an unbelievable experience since then.
So it was really kind of your son wanting to pursue refereeing this entire time, and you're kind of like, might as well just kind of join in on it, huh?
Oh yeah, well, it's my thing. I mean, even when we lived in the Netherlands, I didn't even speak the language. At U10, U12 levels over there, the parents, volunteer to ref. And so I was reffing games there, and everyone would be looking around, who wants to do it today? I was like, I'll do it. And so I was reffing with kids who didn't speak English, and I didn't speak very good Dutch. But I love being in the middle of the pitch. I love being able to participate. If I can't play, which my schedule, I have a full-time job and I travel a lot, doesn't allow me to play. I love being on the pitch and being able to ref and give back.
Now, was kind of going to Europe and being in the Netherlands kind of a huge part of the soccer influence for you and your family, or was there some kind of soccer within your family before that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I played growing up, but then, my kids, I have 3 children, all of them played soccer. I was a coach for all of them up until U12, and so we were a soccer family. We were at the fields every weekend. We'd watch it a little bit on TV, but man, when I moved to Europe, it was everywhere. I mean, it was every country I went to, the common language was football. You could talk about Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, or whatever it was. Everywhere, the common bonding that you did when you met people was, who do you support? And I went to stadiums in Portugal, and I went to stadiums in England, and obviously through the Netherlands and in Spain. It was just it's so much more than a game there. I would equate it almost to a religious experience over there. It's just part of the culture, the fabric of the countries.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm actually watching the documentary series with Ryan Reynolds and
Oh yeah,
Wrexham
Wrexham.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just got done watching both
yeah.
episodes a little while ago before hopping
No,
on
I
here.
want to check that out. But yeah, no, I can totally appreciate. I mean, every town, everywhere. Our club, when we lived in the Netherlands, was I think it was 140 years old. The club that we joined when we went there, and the passion for the people who participate, in running the club and running the clubhouse, and just the whole feeling. It's so different. Like here, we show up to a park and we play a game. There, I mean, you go to the clubhouse, you go to the pub, you grab a beer, you grab a cappuccino, you grab a coffee. You're talking with the people who are part of the club, and you feel like you are part of something. It is not just some other entity, or you're not just there for the game. Everyone in the family comes from all ages, all throughout, and this is where the community congregates. It is something different. It's very special.
Yeah, definitely. Seems like a polar world where soccer really isn't talking about in that type of volume, because we just don't have that type of fandom over here. But whenever it comes to
it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah, I mean, will it ever get to that level of?
Oh, we will.
Camaraderie.
No, the demographics are leading there. I mean, I'm in marketing. I've been doing marketing for 25 years, and the number one most watched sport for that 18 to 34 demographic right now is soccer, or football, however you want to describe it. So that is coming, and those people spend money. And that's that. All of the networks everywhere. Why did Apple spend billions of dollars to get the MLS? Because they see this tide growing. And it's both boys and girls. I mean, everyone participates. All of these families are getting into the game. They're learning more and more. You can hear it, the passion, at the fields, even at U6. I mean, people are starting to appreciate how exciting this game can be, and they're going to want to watch it, and they're going to want to support a club, a local club. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of input and a lot of questions I want to ask you leading up to this. First one, you mentioned rugby. You had mentioned before on your TikTok that you were a rugby referee. I was not aware that you were a D1 player for rugby.
Yeah.
How excited are you for the World Cup in 2031? 2031 or 2030?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's 2030 for the rugby to come here. It's going to be great. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm a bigger excited for 2026. The World Cup, coming here for soccer. But yeah, no, absolutely jazzed. We have a rugby club in the Major League Rugby here in Atlanta, Georgia. It gets a great crowd, very passionate people. So I mean, I'm thrilled about that, and I can't wait to watch some of those games too.
Yeah, absolutely. Rugby's kind of a sport that's been picking up a little bit of steam across the United States. That, lacrosse, and many others.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned you were in Atlanta, and a couple of weeks ago you mentioned that in a video that you were in North Carolina doing work for a couple of games. Is it normal for you to travel cross state borders to do games like that? I mean, that's a whole other state that you have to get to do games.
Yeah, well, it just makes sense. If my son is playing in a tournament or playing away games, he plays throughout the Southeast, whether it's in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, those areas. If we're going to be there and he's only playing one game in a day, well, I've got lots of hours before or after where I can, run around on the pitch, have fun, earn a little money, pay for the hotel.
Right.
And it's a good time. So it's a whole different experience. I mean, I've loved the opportunities I've had, because you meet different referees, you see different teams playing. The referee community is unbelievable. I mean, when you step onto the pitch, obviously people see there's two teams that are playing. What people forget is there is a third team, and that's the referees, and you are a crew, and you can walk on to any pitch anywhere around the world. And I have a number of colleagues now who have gone to ref overseas at tournaments, and you are just instantly connected with a bond, because you've been through the fire together.
Yeah.
You've experienced it. You are each other's, keeper at that time. And so, I love getting the opportunity to travel and potentially refereeing some games while I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. Whenever there's it was really interesting being a high school player and being a referee. And I'm sure your son probably has this experience too, because I've seen, you post videos of him being a referee as well. You kind of have a different perspective of a referee whenever he's in the middle or, an AR or anything like that. By the way, would you mind letting us know what is it? Is this allowed? Am I allowed to ask what grade level you are?
Well, that's the thing. There is no more levels anymore. So it's all literally, if you are not regional. So regional means you've passed a FIFA fitness test. You've refereed over 25 adult competitive games, not just recreational, competitive games.
Uh-huh.
You've been observed numerous times. You get to that regional. Everything below that. And let me tell you, if you are regional, you are top notch. I mean, because you go from regional and then you are on the national track. There's not a lot of levels anymore between grassroots and, pro. There's only really 4 levels that you go. It used to be there was like you started at grade 9 or 8, and then you go 7, and then 6, 5, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't happen anymore. If we were still on those old levels, I'd probably be what it would be called a grade 6, like a state level referee. But yeah, no, so I'm a grassroots. So even though I've been reffing for 7 years and I've done over 1,000 games, we still call that grassroots.
Okay. Yeah. I think the most I ever went into it was grade 8, for my local small town. And, I think the most, or probably the highest level I'll probably say I did was maybe some recreational adult league games or the occasional recreational, travel team game that would come across my town. And that's about it.
But, I do not do recreational adult games at all anymore. I only do competitive. I can't handle the guys who are, trying to reclaim their glory days, and everyone just wants to go have a good, or 80% of the people want to have a good time, and then you get that 20% who that testosterone gets going and they want to like break someone's ankle, and then all of a sudden they want to get in a fight. I'm just like, oh, dude, I don't have time for this, man. I'm not getting paid enough to deal with your ridiculousness of not living out your childhood dreams.
At 16, I didn't need a 40-year-old man yelling in my ear because
man, I tell you, you want to get me upset, and I'm a very chill dude. Like if you ask anyone about me, they'll say I'm like the happiest guy you'll ever see on the pitch. I'm the happiest guy you'll ever meet in life. Like I'm just a nice dude. But when I get one of those gentlemen, 30, 40, 50 years old, and they decide to try and intimidate and yell at one of my assistant referees who's 14 or 15, maybe a petite young girl, I get irate. Like I absolutely will nip that in the bud. You will not be on the pitch for very long if that behavior continues. That stuff gets me so angry. I'm always amazed at how tough someone is when they're yelling at someone who can't yell back or fight back. To me, it's the most cowardly, bully, just nasty behavior that I see on the pitch, and I want to make sure everyone knows that is unacceptable.
Yeah, I think I try to share that because you did join refereeing kind of, not as a teenager, but
no,
I'm sure your son probably reflected, probably has experience that he shared with you.
Oh yeah,
but
man, at 13 years old,
it's intimidating to want to. To make the right call, to make sure you make the right call. I remember the first time I ever called offsides, my father was actually the center referee during that game.
That's great.
And it was a simple throw in to somebody that was in an offside position, but obviously it's legal. They headed it back to the person, came back in and passed it back to them. And I had to take a second to be like, okay, yeah, I popped it up.
Yeah.
And the girl, it was a U12 girls game. And I remember they were like, looking at me like, why was it offside? And I looked at my dad and he's like, yeah, you got it. And I thought, oh my God, like my heart was racing whenever I made that first call. And it's I kind of want to get into that because I feel like there is, at least in my hometown, it's about 70,000 people. It's in the middle of, football, baseball country and, in Texas. And the poor referee commissioner, I haven't removed my email from his refereeing list, and I get emergency, like all referees, like all hands on deck, please. Like we're short on referees.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody that's 11, 12, 13, or even to some adults that, might have a kid playing soccer? Like, what would you say to them to be like, yes, come out and referee. We need referees.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a phenomenal experience. If you love the game, man, I tell you, you can have a lot of fun. I mean, for me personally, I have a pretty stressful job. I got a team like 30 people. I've got a big budget I manage. When I'm on the pitch, man, I lose myself. Like mentally, it is my release. It is like I am focused on what is going on the pitch at that time. The other thing, physically, I am running. Like today, I had a relatively low-level game this evening in the pouring rain, but I still ran a couple miles at least, like a nice jog and like a very competitive game. I'm running 4 or 5 miles easy. And so like through the whole week, like I'm preparing to physically exert myself on the weekends where if I'm doing 6 games, I'm running 20 miles a game. or 20 miles a weekend, excuse me, not 20 miles a game. That would be insane. But, on the last thing, it's a little extra fun money. So for all of those games, I ref 6 games 2 weekends ago, 6 games the weekend before that, it pays for groceries for the month. So it's a mental release. It's a physical release. I get to be on the pitch, participating in the sport that I love and giving back, like actually doing a good job so that people have a fair, fairly contested game. They don't feel that it was the fault of the referee because I was giving 100% effort and they know I know my stuff out there. And then I make a little extra fun money on the side. I mean, I think there's a lot of good reasons to do it. I totally understand people who are nervous about, the feedback and the critique, but I will tell you, as you do it, you learn how to manage it. And I'm not saying take it, not learn how to just take it. If I hear that stuff, I put an end to it. I address it. I'm like, hey, coach, cut it out. That's it. You've been warned. Next time I come over here, there will be consequences. You address it. Parents, same thing. So I think it's, come do it. If you don't want to do highly competitive stuff, don't do highly competitive stuff. Do recreational stuff, but just come have fun. Give back to your community. Give back to the game that you love. Earn a little something extra and get all those wonderful mental and physical benefits too.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. It's just, especially if you love soccer and you're probably going to play a game or two, might as well be out there anyways. I think that's something that, we were a trio. I had an older brother, 3 years older than I, my father and I, and we would all come out there in a crew. And
that's awesome.
Nothing more embarrassing whenever you're a teenager and, your mother wants to come in, take a picture with us. Come on, you're all but yeah, it's a lot of fun, especially for a little kid at that age, 12, 13. You can't really make money much unless you're doing something super particular. But
it's phenomenal money. And the fact that your schedule is flexible, that you set your hours, you choose when you want to work, you can still do everything you want to do. You can still hang with your friends. If you're still playing soccer, you can play soccer, schedule around that. That's great. I mean, I know a lot of guys who are in college, and while their friends or their peers are having to work like Mick jobs, retail jobs, working, numerous nights every single week, late on the weekends, whatnot, making, kind of crap money. You could be a ref, work 3 games on like Sunday, or Sunday morning, make your money for the week and be done. And then you can study. I mean, you're still making good money. You're participating in the sport you love. I think it's a wonderful gig, not only as a tween or teen, but it's a great gig for life. I wish I had started earlier, honestly. I feel like I have the mindset to be a professional referee. I really do. I love that pressure, but I also know that I'm not physically able to do that as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sometimes I consider it. I just know that right now in life, it's not exactly the right moment for me.
It's fine.
But, it's still got the itch to want to go out there. And like you said, the giving back a little bit more, the extra fun money, it's always there. All right, so I want to go ahead and ask about the new technology that FIFA is going to be implementing for the new 2022 World Cup. I've seen that you also posted videos about this on your TikTok channel about the kind of tracking offside calls with the sensor in the ball. What are your thoughts on that and technology being implemented in the game?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Offsides is not a subjective thing. Either you're off or you're not. That's it. And so as a referee, especially with these professional players making these curled runs and, these balls being played through that no one could expect coming. I mean, having all of those angles and the sensor in the ball to get the call right is wonderful. That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants the call to be right, especially on offsides, because it can absolutely be a key match decision. Now, as it relates to fouls on the pitch, there's contact all the time. There's constantly little shoves, little bumps, little, contact between people's feet and knees and something in nature. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a foul. A foul is when it affects play, and sometimes people can play through the contact and continue on. Sometimes they can't. You got to call a foul, but it's a little bit more subjective. On offside, bring it. If the technology can do it better than anyone else, that's what I want.
I completely agree. I think whenever I sent you over these questions, I talked about offside calls and the subjectiveness of, a referee being instructed to be allowing the play to go on and then calling it and just make sure. Personally, I feel that we've lost something about that. I think, whenever we see replays, I feel bad. I'm like, man, that's already an offside call whenever they're about a yard and a half offside.
It's frustrating.
it's frustrating. But I saw a referee the other day in a Champions League game. I believe it was Rangers versus PSV Eindhoven.
Mm-hmm.
Referee completely missed an offside call. He popped his flag before letting VAR review it, and probably could have been an opportunity for Eindhoven, but I was just kind of blown away that I remember I asked you that question, and I was taken back. I was like, man, he should have let that go for that to be reviewed. And
it's tough. It is tough. The patience is one of those things that's really hard. If you've been working, throughout, let's say during the week, he's working games that don't have VAR. I mean, these ARs, I mean, they're especially, the assistant referee, they're not making that much money that they can live full time off of just being a professional referee in Scotland, or wherever that crew is coming from. They're probably got a couple gigs and they're probably working games during the week. And maybe that game during the week doesn't have VAR. So you don't necessarily have that luxury to wait for the entire attacking sequence to play out before you pop that flag. I mean, again, I don't know the play in particular, but it is very, very difficult. We do try and encourage the assistant referee to wait until there is contact, making sure that that's the person that's going to be playing the ball before we pop it. But it becomes even more challenging when there's VAR scenario. But I will tell you what is happening, though. So if I'm an AR and I think it's going to be an offside call, but it's close, I'm saying to the center referee, he's off, he's off, he's off, he's off, he's off, he's off, as that play is going. And the ref is like, you sure he was off? Yeah. I'm going to pop the flag as soon as the attacking opportunity ends. I mean, that's what we're doing. When you have at a professional level or even semi-pro, when you have comms, that's what you're saying to each other. You're saying, if it's going to, the right winger, he's off, he's off, he's off, he's off. Like you're speaking that. So the ref is looking, hey, is he popping the flag? Is he sure? It's like, no, let it go. We'll see. We'll wait for AR. They're communicating. And then as that play dies down, the center referee can, whistle it. He knows to pop the flag. There's a lot of communication that's going on that we don't get to hear. I wish we did. We did. Oh, that would be so cool.
What are your thoughts on the A League that leaked? Or I don't think they leaked. I think they just allow the broadcast. Yeah, they share it. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. Love it. And I spoke to Ted Uncle, one of our professional referees here in the United States. He's got, I think, 12 years of experience at MLS about that. It's not in their current CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, but I know that FIFA is now trialing that to allow some of that communications. There's just a lot of concerns, a lot of liability, feeling that, already referees are under the microscope. This is just going to add another level of, microscope, getting to hear all that communications. But it happens in rugby today. I mean, you can hear the referee at all times in a rugby match, but it's a very different conversation in rugby, right? Like the referee is sir, only the captain speaks to the referee. It's a very different conversation out there with a referee and the players. And there's a lot of fruity language that's used, in football and on a football pitch. And they're just very concerned about how that might actually come off if it's broadcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's just so much going on now. I can't remember the last time whenever you were talking about the comms and all that. How, you have two players that, might be in an offside or onside position, and you're trying to determine which ball it is. So you hold that offside line, making sure if he touches it, and once he doesn't touch it, you gotta run down the line to make sure.
You gotta hustle.
So I can only imagine when it's like having comms. I never had the opportunity to do that.
I will tell you, I wish more people were able to afford it. A basic set is about $600. The top sets are over $2,000. I mean, they're really expensive. But man, what a difference! And I have to tell you, even as a fourth official, even if I'm not on the crew, if I'm just listening on the comms, if there's like a top referee, and I've gotten to work with some national candidate referees, it is so interesting to hear them and how they talk to the players and how the assistant referees are talking to the center. I mean, it's constant. It's at all times. Like they're constantly talking to each other. What are they seeing? Whose ball it is? It looks like just the center referee is on their own. But I got to tell you, in a professional match at the high level, it is a full crew. You've got your fourth official and your assistant referees that are all helping to make critical calls.
Yeah, I can only imagine how good that would be for especially younger referees who might need to help communicate a little bit more with that center referee that's maybe a couple years older than them, just to build their confidence up a little bit on calls.
Yes. Yes. And if the assistant referee is getting smack, if they're getting, the coach is talking to them and saying something disparaging, or they're getting something from, the stands, a lot of times an assistant referee, especially if they're young, they don't want to cause attention and, wave their flag and call the ref over in the middle of the match. But, they could just say, hey, ref, I'm getting, this guy behind me here is saying blah, 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 blah. And I would be like, boop, boop. I'd hustle on over there and be like, you're gone. I mean, I would love to be able to do that. But not enough people have a concept, but it's a great learning experience, definitely.
Yeah, I want to touch back on something that you mentioned previously on. You talked about you worked in marketing a little bit and the growth of soccer. You know, such a big question for, where, like, what exactly the direction of soccer in the United States will go. I mean, a lot of people want to talk about promotion relegation. Other people want to talk about, just keeping it Major League Soccer, creating, maybe 2 divisions within Major League Soccer with their MLS Next Pro kind of program. What direction do you think U.S. soccer will be going in about 10 years from now? Or what will soccer be like 10 years from now?
Yeah, I just think you're going to see an explosion of local clubs. You're going to see more and more people wanting to play the game for life, and that's the way it is in Europe. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I lived in the Netherlands and has this wonderful quality of life, and everyone gets off work at like 5 or 5:30, and it's not like they go home and eat dinner, but then they go do. They play field hockey, they play soccer, they're in a chorus, they go biking, they do whatever, and they have an active lifestyle. I think you're going to. One of the nice things about soccer is that at every age, you can find a league that you can play in, and it's fun, whether it's indoor, whether it's outdoor. It is a good time. It's enjoyable. And again, it's something that both men and women do. I just think you're going to see more and more local clubs wanting to compete. Here in my town, we have a USL2 club, which is wonderful. They have a PSL team as well. There are numerous UPSL teams around. I think you're going to see more and more of that. I think more and more of the USL teams are going to professionalize. I mean, already you see, like, in Detroit City, and you see in Phoenix Rising, all the Indy 11, they have championship USL champion teams with huge crowds and wonderful fan bases and people that are really passionate about it. I just think you're going to see more and more of that. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the MLS. I mean, we have such a history and tradition of the franchise model here in the U.S. I don't think we're going to be able to upset that apple cart anytime soon. Way too much money invested, and it's such a foreign concept to Americans. I won't hold my breath for it.
Yeah, I feel like if it ever comes down to, that kind of franchise system breaking apart or falling apart, a lot of lawyer fees are probably going to be getting paid.
Oh yeah, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I just can't see it in America. It's so funny. We like to call the European socialist, but we actually have a socialist system of sports. And over there we call them socialists for their society, but their sporting systems are extremely capitalistic. Americans don't see it that way. Whatever. It would be wonderful and exciting if they did, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon.
Right. Well, I want to wind down this interview really quick, and I have a little bit of a funny question. A pair of funny questions. I need to know, how many referee uniforms do you have?
So I've got my bag right next to me, which is like ginormous. I mean, I'm one of those people that I travel pretty heavy.
Oh my gosh! You said a bag. I thought a whole suitcase.
It's crazy. I mean, it's got a a thing you can drag, whatever. It's got rollers on it, whatnot.
Oh wow!
But I have 9 ref jerseys, so I've got 5 colors, and then I've got a waterproof one. I've got long sleeve for a few of the colors as well. I mean, if you're on that way regional to the national track, they've got all 5 colors in long sleeve and short sleeve, and then you've got to have these polos as well. So if you show up to the field at a high level match like ECNL or MLS Next or any of the semi-pro leagues or pro, you've got to have numerous polos as well. Different colors, whatnot. Everyone wants to show up at the field wearing the same color. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I will tell you, just looking at my bag here, I mean, I've got these like Spinso watches now too. You've got to have multiple whistles. You got to have your cards. I've got coins. I've got, yellow, red cards, badges. I mean, in my bag, I probably have, not kidding, around $1,500 worth of stuff. And that is not not crazy. Like when you get to that next level up, they're going to have the most fancy pump. They're going to have the best whistle. My whistle's $12. Their whistle's going to be $50. They're going to have everything is the official sports brand of socks and shirts and shorts and polos and everything. I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, being a ref, yes, you make some money, but if you want to move up the ranks, you've got to invest as well.
Off question. This was not planned at all. Whenever you first started refereeing, where did you put your coin whenever you were reffing at a grassroots level?
Back left pocket. Back left pocket. Yeah. The only major change I have made in 7 years is I used to be a yellow card in my front shirt pocket and then my red card in my back right pocket. Now I go yellow card, front right pocket, and red card, back right pocket. So that's the only change I've made in 7 years in terms of how I hold my stuff. And then on my whistle, now I've got, a lanyard that goes on my wrist and I wrap it on my fingers. I used to have like a finger whistle that just goes right here, but it doesn't look as cool. So literally that's the only changes I've made in the 7 years in terms of what I do.
I got you. I was going to ask if you had like a special coin to like flip or anything like that, because I was a specific, just a quarter was for me at, at rec level.
When you start, it's a quarter. When you start doing some of these tournaments, then you start getting some cool stuff. So this is a Tennessee state coin.
Oh, nice.
When you start doing regionals, you start getting you pick up different coins when you finish a match. The assessor will give you one, or people will want to trade with you as well. So it comes in time. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say with a quarter at the rec level, for me it was just unvelcroing the patch, just stick it right there.
Yep.
You can never lose that. But with with those size coins, I don't think it would fit. I don't think it would hold that at all, actually.
Well, the thing about the bigger coins is then if you're flipping it and it lands on grass, it's a better chance it's going to land flat. If you're flipping a quarter, it's small, it's going to land on its edge. And people are like, wait, is that heads? Is that tails? So
whatever tastes the most fun for me, that's what works.
Exactly. No, this works. It looks cool. It keeps it fresh. It's fun.
So how many versions of the referee uniforms did you have? Obviously, referee uniforms kind of evolve over time. I was wondering to know, what was your favorite kind of referee evolution of style since you started?
Well, when I started, there was like some black stripes down the front, but for the last 5 years, it's been, this one right here, which is kind of the main style right now with the two black stripes down below. It's actually very slimming. I like that. Come on, I'm 47, so I want to look trim out there. But that's what I've been using, and I just always wondering when they're going to change the uniform again. It always I'm holding off on making any new purchases because it's been 5 years, 6 years, and I think they do it on like a 7-year cycle. So who knows where it's going to be in a couple years. I'm trying to advocate for just black. In Europe, in England, when you watch the youth referees, it's black, and they tell all of the clubs you can't wear black. That's it. It's pretty simple. You can use everything else on the color wheel except for this area here that looks black. And so the referees get one shirt, maybe two. That's it. Here in the U.S., again, we're dealing with 5 different colors. You never know what you're walking into. We don't get uniform colors in advance. We show up to the field and it's just a smorgasbord of, oh, wait, that guy's wearing green. This guy's wearing red. That guy, the keeper's wearing yellow. This one's wearing blue. Okay, do you have black? and then you'll work with an assistant referee who doesn't have black. It's like, gosh. And then 2 of you are in black, 1 of you is in red. It just doesn't look right. So it's a frustrating system here in the U.S. Again, we're not as evolved as they are in England or Spain or the Netherlands or Denmark or Sweden or something like that. But it's coming. I mean, I was listening today on a podcast that the youth sports industry in the United States is a $19 billion industry. The NFL, which is the largest sporting, organization in the United States, is only 15 billion. 19 billion in youth sports. And I know that's all going to travel teams and coaches and trainers and all this other ridiculousness. But as that professionalizes, for better and for worse, the referee organizations will have to professionalize as well.
Nice. Well, hey, last question for you. Since you've read so many games, has there been a team whose jerseys absolutely stood out to you where you're like, man, that team has really nice jerseys. If I could buy their jerseys, I think I would.
I have to tell you, at the youth sports level, I don't even think about it. I literally, all I care about is that they don't match them. I did a video, you probably saw it a week and a half ago, where 2 teams showed up to the field wearing yellow jerseys. Yeah. And I'm like, dudes, there's rules for the tournament. go look and see which team needs to change. And in that tournament, I believe it was the home team changes. I'm like, why do you need me to wait? I'm reffing a game to step off my field and we're starting in 10 minutes to walk up to you and be like, dude, you need to change. Like, can you not look at each other and know you both can't play in yellow? Why do I need to get involved? Come on.
At least the goalies were probably good to go. At least the goalies were probably good to go.
You would think, but how many times I go out there and I'm like, dude, you're wearing red. They're wearing red. You can't wear red. Come on.
Oh my goodness.
You got to change. I've had this happen like at least 15 times where I'm like, dude, look at what they're wearing. You can't wear red, keeper. Go change. Go put a penny on something. So it's just funny. These are the little things that just make the day just a little bit more challenging. But they're funny. Again, it's like, I'm the kind of guy, like if there's a baby crying behind me on the airplane, I like to think that they're laughing. That's how I put it in my mind. It's the same thing on the soccer pitch. These little things, it's a mental thing for me. It might be challenging or frustrating for someone else. I just kind of laugh at it and be like, hey, come on, buddy, help me out,
Yeah, well, I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me as, just on the grassroots level too. You get unfortunate matchups between, the pink ponies and the pink ribbons. And, you just got to do what you can with the, the color.
Do the best you can. That's all you got to do.
Absolutely. Well, hey, David, I really appreciate the time that you've given
me. My pleasure.
Honestly, it's been a really great conversation. And I hope that we can do another one of these again. Thank you so much for your time. Do you want to plug your socials in so people can find you?
Sure. So on TikTok and Instagram, it's at refsneedlove2, REFS need love 2. That's what it is. The TOO spelled out. And then I've got a website as well with a blog, and I've just started my own podcast. So I've got 3 episodes in the can, and I'm just waiting for it to post on Apple Music, and then I'll be sending it out. There's also merch too. So I'm not wearing it right now. You can see the logo in the back, and I got some other fun stuff on there. So definitely, if you like what I do, please support the channel and the brands. And I'd love to help in any way. If anyone out there has any questions about refereeing, refsneedlove2@gmail.com. Give me a shout. I live to help others. So just let me know what I can do.
Guys, definitely one of the best TikToks whenever it comes to refereeing, like around the world. Guarantee it. You will not be disappointed to check out his channel. David, again, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, and I hope you have yourself a good one.
All right. You take care. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too. All right, my soccer people, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it to this point, please do consider liking or even subscribing to my channel, as it would help me very much and help me, push my video to people much like you who are lovers of soccer content. But I have nothing more for you today. Thank you again for watching this video. Stay tuned for all my upcoming projects on TikTok and on YouTube. I hope to see you again. Thank you very much. You are loved.